Well, that was pretty awesome. Matisse Thybulle makes his return tonight to the Trailblazers lineup. He plays just 6 minutes, but they might have been the most productive 6 minutes of any Trailblazer all season long. His first shift was a 3-minute shift in which he recorded 2 steals. He didn't get a single point. He didn't score a single field goal. He didn't have a single assist. But he had a blocked shot as time expired that sealed the deal for your Trailblazers as they grab the 105-102 victory over the Toronto Raptors. Welcome into the fifth quarter. Chris Burkhardt here with you. If you want to join in on the conversation, you know what to do. 503-248-0620 is that telephone number. You can also go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, and join the chat there. And the username on social hasn't changed. Chris J. Burkhardt is the name. Send me your tweets, your comments, your concerns, and we could talk about this game. But, man, that was the story in a game that was otherwise meh. Okay, and that's kind of the best way to describe it. It had no flow. Neither team really felt like they were doing much. Toronto led for most of this as Portland was just kind of left in the trenches, kind of figuring out what to do still. Like, what's going on? What are we trying to accomplish here? Couldn't get in a run. Anytime they got a few going, Toronto was able to just squash it and get their lead back out. But no, not at the end of the day. It was the team, the Portland Trailblazers team. Yeah, that guy. They were able to just get going offensively. Anthony Simons hit a 3. Denny Avdia had a great drive, dunk, and one. You can't see me, right? He did his thing. And then, of course, Matisse Thybulle with that late block. And it was great to see him, obviously. He checks in, crowd goes wild. But then it took 0 seconds, man, to realize how important he can be, how good he can be. He goes in and gets a steal. He was all over the ball defensively. He was giving the team fits. And then, of course, he gets the late block, and it's just like you can't write this stuff. It's like a Hollywood ending, right? Like, he hasn't played in a year, and he gets the block that sends the Blazers to victory. It's like, in the spirit of it being March, it was like one shining moment, right? That's what I told the media guys down in press row. Like, cue the music, let it go, because that's what it felt like, man. That's what it felt like. Air Weldon in the chat says they made a comeback like Tualatin. Good reference to the OSAA state championship games, right? As long as anytime I can get a plug in for the other gig, I'm gonna get it in there. But it was a comeback. It was a comeback, man. Just like Tualatin, they were down 19, came back to shot Clackamas to win the state title. Portland came back in this one from a game that it did really feel like, for most of it, that they were probably going to let slip. That's how the game felt, but they didn't. At the end of the day, they got the dub, did what they needed to do. Now, looking at the box score, when Air Weldon says they came back like Tualatin, like I said, Tualatin trailed by 19 before winning that game. Toronto led by 16. So in that same vein, absolutely they did. And a lot of it was, again, that fourth quarter where Portland just poured it on. Offensively, they got going. They outscored the Raptors 28-20. We have some takeaways from that, though, that are a little suspicious. Suspicious. Everyone has words that are kind of hard to say. Suspicious. There was some circumstances in this one, man, that you're going to look at and you're going to have to put a detective on them because they were just a little bit fishy. You could smell the fish up in Media Row. That's how bad it was, right? But when you look at the box score, Scotty Barnes, he had 16 points for the Raptors to go along with 6 rebounds, 6 assists. Jameson Battle had 9 points before fouling out, all 9 of them coming on three-pointers. Jakob Poeltl, hi, Pirtle the Turtle. What is the good dude's just efficient when he plays the Blazers. He had a whole 9 points and none of them, 19 points, and none of them bigger than the steal coast to coast and then jam that he had. Pretty impressive play, all things considered. He also had 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 10 points from Jamal Shed as well, 19 points from Ogbaji from your Toronto Raptors. Now, for your Trailblazers, Toumani Camara, 21 points, 7 boards, 3 assists, a super efficient 5 of 10 from beyond the arc. And the thing I like about the shots he was making, they were all felt like late-game big shots. They needed him to make those corner threes, and he was hitting them. Denny Avdia, 19 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and, of course, just that massive drive down the lane, gets fouled, gets the dunk, roars as he walks past the stanchion into the crowd. That got the crowd pumped. Donovan Clingan, man, 5 points. 14 boards, though, and 3 block shots. So I love that. He doesn't have to have points to impact the game. He still found ways to do it. Shaedon Sharp, 17 points. Struggled from beyond the arc, just 1 of 8 from three-point range, but he still, again, poured in 17 points. 22 points from Anthony Simons. Scoot Henderson, he had 5 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, but he did have 6 turnovers. If you're looking for the silver lining, I thought it was the fact that, he only had 1 turnover in the second half. He turned things around in the second half of that ball game. Didn't have a lot of points, but he still did have a positive plus-minus, which is nice. And then Matisse Thybulle, funny enough, Matisse Thybulle plays 6 minutes, has the highest plus-minus of any Trailblazer at +7. 0 points, 0 field goal attempts, 0 free throw attempts, obviously. 2 rebounds, 0 assists, but he had 2 steals and a block shot. It's almost as if he's a defensive player, and he put that on display in this one. So kudos to Matisse Thybulle. I thought it was so nice to see Matisse back in action, man, getting him back out on the court, doing his thing. We didn't get him, but, man, as I was putting on social media, I was really clamoring for some Matisse and Tumani minutes. And I tweeted it out with a gif of the Legion of Doom, Hawk and Animal of WWF infamy, right? Hall of Famers. And, that's who Tumani and Matisse could be. 2 and Tease. Like, come on. Like, let those guys go out there, play some defense, and just, wreak havoc on guys. People won't know what to do. Now, I said there were some things in this game that were a little bit fishy, a little bit suspicious, something you might want to put a detective on. The NBA is really cracking down on this tanking thing, right? You have Dallas, who's getting investigated for sitting players. Oklahoma City getting fined and investigated for sitting their entire starting lineup when the Blazers rolled through town. So you got a couple teams that are like, what's going on? Well, tonight, another weird one, because if you look at the final quarter, the Raptors went bench heavy, pulled the starters. In fact, in the last possession, Agbaji was the only Toronto Raptors starter on the floor. Now, Jamison Battle did foul out, but no Pirtle, no Scotty Barnes, no Shed. They went full bench in that final possession. And that wasn't the only suspicious thing. 15 seconds left on the clock, 1-point game, Blazers inbound, and the Raptors let 10 seconds run off the clock. And I say that, let 10 seconds run off the clock. In a I need to win this game situation, you are fouling as quick as possible. And they had their opportunities. They did not take them till there was 5 seconds on the clock. Again, it was almost like, okay, we're going to let this thing milk down. That way we only have a few seconds. It's going to be harder for us to hit the game tire because we don't really want to go to overtime. We want to win this tankathon. We need to catch some ground because as we went through earlier in the game, I don't really see Portland catching Toronto in the tankathon standings. As you look at them right now, Toronto is 7. Portland with the win jumps to 10th. They were 8 at the beginning of the night. But the reason I don't see them catching Toronto is because, even if you won this game, there's still, a 3-game gap between you two. Toronto is sitting right now just a game back of Brooklyn for the 5th spot. Feels like Portland is really, realistically more in the race to get as high as 8. I don't think they're going to get as high as 7 because, again, you'd have to lose a lot of games, but the other teams around you would have to start winning a bunch of games for that to happen too. But Toronto, they can still climb a little bit here, and that's what they did, man, 100%. 15 seconds left. You wait 10 seconds to foul, and then you just, hey, we're going to play the bench. We're going to play the bench. That's weird. That's weird. I don't get it. I don't know what's going on. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. If you want to go join the conversation, 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. I don't have my computer, but Shacker says that Bryce in North Portland is on the line. I hope he's still there. Bryce, welcome into the 5th quarter. No Bryce? No Bryce? I guess not. No Bryce. Shacker says no. That's all right. If you want to jump in, 503-248-0620. We'll get your calls up. We'll get you in. We'll figure this all out. We'll take a quick break here, though, on the 5th quarter. When we come back, we're going to hit you with our drive of the night and our shot of the night. I'm also going to bring in a a partner for a few minutes here. We got a partner coming in here, and he's going to join us, have some fun.
I'm checking out the ratings on the new TVs, and it looks like Samsung, LG, and Sony got the best scores.
Just like last year. What about those new high dynamic range TVs?
They got the highest scores of all, but their prices are really high.
Did you check online?
Yeah, their prices were about the same.
Well, there's one place where we can get a hot deal on those top-rated models.
Where?
At Video Only. Check out the ratings on TV stores.
I see. Video Only scored better than the others.
So, if you want the best deal on the best TVs,
then we should take our TV ratings and head over to top-rated Video Only.
At Video Only.
All right, Rip City. How's it going? Oh, we might be coming back. Let's see. No, we're not. Oh, we're sorry for those of you listening on YouTube. We're trying to fix an audio issue with the radio side. Shacker is all over it. I have a buddy over here I was going to bring in for a little bit. And we're going to have some fun, but apparently the radio side is going nuts. We're trying to fix an audio issue with the radio side. This thing is going wild, guys. You can talk. We're on YouTube, my guy.
Oh, I didn't know we were on there.
Yeah, we're on YouTube exclusively, just having fun, showing what happens when the S hits the F, as they say. Apparently, we got some issues going on the radio side, but we're still on YouTube. I got like all sorts of sounds coming in on my ear.
Yeah, I can hear all kinds of commercials.
We're having fun, but we're here. We were talking Blazers, and all of a sudden, I don't know, some hot 80s hits started playing, and Shacker's figuring out. I think there's a bug on the radio side, but hey, you know what? We're here. I do have my buddy though, Brandon Riesling. He laughed at me. I called him Riesling the other day. He's like, "Are you just calling me a wine?" I'm like, "Yes, I did. I know that's not your last name, but come on,
You can have some fun with it.
You had to have heard worse growing up, like."
I got Grizzly a lot.
Grizzly,
A lot of
okay.
people thought I was Grizzly. My
No,
last name is Risley.
It's
by the
Risley.
way.
It's Risley.
Yeah.
But did you just call me Riesling? I was like, nice little play on words. But Air Weldon says, "Welcome to the new guy." So this is my buddy,
thank you,
Brandon.
Aaron.
He's trying to get into some radio. He did some hosting and some stuff up in Hood River, but still looking to get in. So he came along and shadowed with me today, which is pretty awesome, and had some fun. You got to watch a good Blazer game there, though, Brandon.
I thought it was a fun game. Well, what I love about this team right now is, early on they didn't have it going. The Raptors had a lot more energy. They came out, they were hitting all their shots. I think they got up to a 20-6 lead early in the first quarter. But the Blazers never panicked, and I think this is a mark of a team that has become drastically different over the last month and a half, where they rely on their defense. When the shots aren't falling, they still put in the effort defensively, and they just started chipping away at that lead and, got the game tied at halftime. Raptors came out in the second half at the same type of energy in the third quarter as they did in the first. But then, again, the Blazers just start chipping away. Chimani Kamara starts hitting shots. Anthony Simon starts hitting shots. And all of a sudden, now they have a 5-point lead in the fourth quarter, and they're able to finish it. And
then defensively was great, man.
Defensively was great. And then Thibault, his return to the Moda Center, to the court, he comes up with a huge block at the end to seal the victory. So just all around a good afternoon of basketball, I thought.
Absolutely. Air Weldon wants to call you Risley, which is funny because I said I'm going to call you Riz. So the kids say it, so let's have fun with it, right?
I'm okay with that.
Kirk, I like where Kirk said is at. Kirk says, hey, if the Blazers don't care about the 7th pick, I don't care about the 7th pick. Hey, let them tank, have some fun, and
the
just win
lottery's
some
funny,
games.
though, because, the odds are the odds, but you could end up with, I think it was last year, they were one of the worst teams that ended up with the 7th pick. It was last year or 2 years ago. So, win some games while you can. Why not? It's fun. It's a good time of the year. Win some games.
Yep, you got to win some games, have some fun while you're doing it. The lottery is what it is, man. And I think you kind of set yourself up sometimes for defeat a little bit when you're playing the lottery. Like, we're just going to set ourselves up to have a chance to maybe get a high pick. You never know where you're going to go. There's just too much to worry about. So, I kind of I prefer the winning thing. It just makes more sense to me. But
and with Cooper Flagg, you never know because as he got injured earlier this week in the ACC tournament,
right?
If you're solely focused on getting him, anything could happen in the NCAA tournament in the future. So, just win games while you can. Why not?
Absolutely. All right, YouTube, we're going to take a break. I think we're trying to figure out this radio thing, and we'll be right back with you in just a few minutes. what happens is the board just gets taken over. It's happened to me before when I've been producing Chad's show. It just happened to Shacker. And let me tell you what, it's not a good feeling when you're back there. You're like, what's going on? You're trying to fix it. You don't know what it is. And you're trying to do it. So kudos to Shacker because he was getting texts from people. He has me calling trying to, hey, are we good? We this, we're that. So just want to make sure Shacker knows that we appreciate him out there just working his tail off to get us back on the air. But we're back on. Thanks to everyone who was listening and chatting on YouTube. We were making sure we're continuing the conversation. And but for those of you on radio, welcoming in now to the radio side. You talked to YouTube during that extended break. But Brandon Risley, a friend of mine, and I've been introducing him to everyone. We got he and I have known each other for a while. My wife and I both used to work with his mom, and I did reach out to the Trailblazers and say, hey, I have a young guy who wants to come shadow the radio station today because that's kind of what he's trying to get into, be a radio guy. He did some stuff and worked up in Hood River doing their radio up there for a little bit, so he wants to join the glamorous world of sports talk radio, which is where we're at right now. But Brandon, welcome into radio life here in Portland for the night.
Oh, there's my mic.
Rookie, got to turn your mic on.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you, Chris. Thanks for having me. It was a great afternoon of basketball, and I was glad to be here hanging out with you.
Yep.
And fun game to be a part of.
Yeah, and it's funny. Timmy says some angry Toronto fan got mad and hacked the radio. That absolutely happened. That's funny.
It.
Yeah, and Kirk was, as we were talking, he's commenting on how the Blazers were able to come back, and he says, "Oh, please, the Raptors tanked in the fourth quarter." You know what, Kirk? You're right. They did, man. That's what I was talking about earlier, guys. It's about how fishy it was. It's like, here comes the fourth quarter. They've outplayed the Blazers most of this game, and all of a sudden the starters are out of the game. And it's like, yep, Scotty Barnes ain't playing. Jakob Poeltl ain't playing. We're just going to breeze through this. And when you have a final possession and you're trying to win a ball game, it's a three-point game. Okay, can we tie this thing and get going? And all you do is you put out all your bench guys out there. Like, that's dumb. Like, you definitely did a tank job. And it wasn't just how you did your rotations, as we talked about. When there's 15 seconds on the clock, I talked about it in the opening segment, and you're just sitting there going, yep. You're just shaking your head. Like 15 seconds on the clock, and you take 10 seconds to foul? Like, you're doing this on purpose. Like, I think, quite frankly, and I want to get your opinion on this. People are talking about it in the chat. Well, I need you to look at and no, Poeltl was not in on the final possession. Not like I could go back. I'm pretty sure he wasn't. But you go and you can look. But the thing is, the whole, okay, we're not going to sit this guy. We're going to play this guy. We're not playing our stars and all that. That's annoying, and that's one thing too. But when you go out there, and I think you actively dog a play. I mean, you can't tell me that this is any different than Terry Rozier, right? Getting in trouble for, he's fixing games and you got score fixing here and there. If you're Toronto and you're like, okay, chance to tie the game, but we're going to take all our best players out, like that's not basketball, and that's frustrating.
No, it is incredibly frustrating, and I think the league has done a good job at trying to curb that, but you still have these instances, and the 15 seconds, the spending 10 seconds trying to foul, quote unquote, at first it's like, are they looking for the right guy? And then the Blazers make 3 or 4 passes, and you're like, okay, you guys aren't right. You're not even trying to grab a guy at this point.
Yeah.
To go from 15 to 5 seconds left and give yourselves almost no shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is some very suspicious activity
Absolutely.
Going on amongst the Raptors organization.
Yeah, now Han in King City's commenting about how, they need to fix how the tank works just because there shouldn't be this incentive to lose. Everyone should be trying to win. Now, I know you're a hockey fan. Do you know how the lottery in hockey works off the top of your head? Because it's very different. We had talked about this. I'm going to mention this. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But it is something along the lines of, you can't win the first pick, more than 2 years in a row. And in the lottery, when they do the lottery, you can't jump more than 10 spots or something like that. It's something weird. I'm just saying. So it's like if you enter the lottery at 12th, you have a 0% chance of getting number one. Like, it's not like, hey, I'm in the lottery and yeah, I'm going to get there. Like, you have a 0% chance. Like, they basically curve it so that, yeah, you're going to get high when you get in the lottery. But if you're in the lottery for multiple years, basically the longer you're in there, the harder it is to get good picks. Cause it's like, no more of this losing nonsense.
Yeah, I believe that's how it works. I would have to look up the exact wording and rules on the NHL, but I believe that's how it works. I remember a year when I think Edmonton ended up with the first pick 2 or 3 years in a row, and everybody was up in arms, and that might have been when they started tweaking.
It was because it's recent. It is recent.
Yeah, because I think like after Edmonton got McDavid, they got the number 1 pick again.
Yeah,
and everybody kind of went, "What the heck is going on here?"
Yeah, I don't know like I said, I don't know the answer, but like to Han's point, like, yeah, you need to figure something out a little bit just to hey, there's no reason for you to do this tank job left and right, and just like say, if you're gonna tank, you tank. I understand, like, okay, so and so is not playing, and I think that's annoying as hell too. But you watch the fourth quarter, and in particular that last 15 seconds, and you watched a team in Toronto who went out there and kind of gave the proverbial middle finger to the state of basketball, and like, nope, we're gonna make sure we lose this game, and I think that's stupid.
Yeah, because you look at the box minus for Toronto, and all of their starters were in positive plus minus. Jamal Sheed plus 21 tonight, and then everybody they had in the game minus, I think, 1 was minus 10 or worse. Their bench was minus 10, minus 15, minus 13, minus 27. Orlando Robinson minus 27. And so if you're going out with that lineup at the end of a game when it's close, you're kind of showing the world, hey, we really don't care about the outcome of this game, and we'd probably like to keep it in the L column tonight.
Yeah, and again, that's definitely what it felt like, right? So, just a weird sequence, just a weird game overall. And you go out there, man, and yeah, Jakob Poeltl did. He subbed out with 5 minutes left in the game, and it's like, why though? Why? You are sitting with a chance to win this game. Things are looking good. It's a tight ball game, and then you take your best players out, and that one just doesn't make sense to me whatsoever. I mean, it does make sense because you obviously know what Toronto was trying to do. They're trying to lose that game. What doesn't make sense to me is that that's just allowed to happen.
Yeah, and I don't know how the league fixes it. I know Silver has publicly come out and said he does not like the way some teams operate.
Right.
So, but I don't know what you do to fix it. I mean, you'd think the lottery system would prevent teams from doing it, but when you get more ping pong balls, then you do less. You're a bad team. You probably care more about ping pong balls than you do wins.
Air Weldon says, can we go to their coach's corner to figure it out? Hey, that's a good question. But I don't know, maybe somewhere down the line, you're like, when you do something like this, your punishment is like, it's like when like you have a punishment in college football where like, okay, you no longer get your full complement of scholarships. Your scholarships are cut in half. Now you still get to play football, you still get to do a thing, but you lost half your scholarships. Like, it should be like weird little things like, okay, well, guess what? Now it doesn't matter. Your lottery pick now, like you are actively tanking. You're actively not putting your best foot forward out there to try to win ball games. Guess what? Your lottery pick just went into an NBA lottery that goes to every other team who's not tanking. Like that's your punishment. You don't even get a pick anymore. Someone else is going to get your pick. We're going to take it away from you, or you got less money, right? You got something to just. It is like, again, it's just really, really weird. All right, let's head out to the phones though, where Bryce called back. Bryce from North Portland, welcome into the fifth quarter, Bryce.
Hey, Chris, how's it going?
Good. Thanks for calling back. Of course, when I toss to you is when the bugs of the radio system are taking over, and we had no idea what was going on. But I appreciate you calling back. What do you have for us tonight?
Matisse Thybulle, I mean, looking great. I hope we can convince him into maybe like another short contract next year.
Yeah.
Like that's what I was hearing is it was up, but like after that first block, how he slapped it down, just kind of like his cohesion with the young squad that were running. Like the defense followed, and I mean, I don't want to speculate on my limited like live TV viewership, so it's different with the radio coverage, but I mean, it kind of seemed like all the other defensive players took cue from Matisse and then stepped up their plus-minus defense.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing to see.
No, it is, Bryce. It is. And no, it is. And to your point real quick, man, like he has an $11 million player option for next year. And I actually find that to be really, really intriguing because I don't know what his open market value is for a guy who we obviously know is good defensively, but literally just played his first game in a year, right? So what is his open market value? Is it much higher than that 11.5 mil, or is that something where he says, okay, I pick up this option, bet on myself that I can stay with Portland, have a really good year, and then open up the market, and then Portland becomes intrigued because they see a long-term, role for him. I sit here and I salivate, Bryce, and we'll get your thoughts here too. Like, as I was tweeting, like, I want to see him and two play together just for fun, right? Two guys who just lock people down. So it was just, regardless to your point, it was so nice to see it.
It was really good. Like right after Matisse had that slap down block, it really seemed like it came from 33 in just like flawless procession.
Yeah, it was nice.
I don't know. I wouldn't hate Thibault for giving us like that piece that we need to really drive Scoot Henderson.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of off-season trades. I don't want to speculate, so every player, but it's just like, I wouldn't mind if he went on to be a really key piece somewhere else, but that was some really great, like him, Danny Avia, and Tamara on the floor at the same time. That was just kind of like, how can you beat it defensively? Like, this is locked up for, like make my heart explode.
Right.
Like just like an NBA final that is like the Knicks versus the Blazers with the most confusing like bootleg hoodies I've ever seen. I would love it to death.
Absolutely, and thanks for the call as always, Bryce. And yeah, man, to his point there, that just cracks me up. The crazy bootleg hoodies. You imagine if you just had a Matisse Thybulle, Tamani Kamara, Denny Avdia led defense versus the Knicks, and every single finals game, final score, it's 85-80 because it's playoff defense with two teams just going at it.
We're going back to mid-90s basketball.
Right. It'd be kind of fun, but man, it is definitely hard not to like Matisse Thybulle though. Again, you go away for a year, you come in, like I said, his first 3 minutes, he had 2 steals. Like the impact was immediate. Right? And then he gets the block. And I thought the best part about that final block was he gets the block and then he gets the ball in his hands. And you could see his smile from Media Row. Like that dude was so happy to be on the floor, making an impact and getting a win.
Well, I was going to say you played his interview in the pregame show early this afternoon, and you said it right after. He just sounds like a guy who's ready to get back on the court, who's so happy to just be playing basketball again. And from the moment he stepped on the floor tonight, you saw it.
You can absolutely see it. You are right. All right, we're going to take a quick break here on the 5th quarter. When we come back, it's time for the Coach's Corner. Hear what Coach Bill has had to say following this victory, and we'll hand out a game ball as well. This is the 5th quarter, presented by Coors Light on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620.
He made it tough on him a few times. Coming from 30 feet away from the play to get a block shot, he's maybe the only guy in the league. I never seen anything like that, but like him in terms of his closing speed to get block shots. But he was awesome. But I thought Chris Murray gave us some incredible energy, and when we needed it as well. Chris was huge in this game. You look at the stat sheet and it won't suggest that, but he was a big deal for us. I think the growth that we showed, the thing that stood out to me was the growth that we showed at the end of the game. I mean, we were just in this situation a few days ago against the Knicks. The Knicks up 3. Didn't foul. It cost us. We got in that position right again. I thought it was awesome to be in that spot again so quick. And see, can we learn? Can we learn from it? And we did. And I was proud of our guys for it. We fouled when we needed to. We switched, and we had a little mix-up at the end in our 55 X coverage. But, again, I tell our guys, if you're going to make mistakes, if you do it with playing as hard as you can, chances are you can make up for it. And that's exactly what happened.
Johnson, why do you think the game was so disjointed for you guys on both ends in the first half?
Well, I just thought they set the tone. That team has been playing as good as anybody. Won 6 out of 7 games, and I told you, we talked about all the stats, since All-Star, them second chance points, fast break points, offensive rebounds, the top of the league. Styles make fights, and we know that. And we knew we were going to have a tough time on the glass against them, and we did. So they set the tone, which I didn't like. I always want us to hit first, but we didn't. And that's what happens. When you get hit, you start retreating. They keep going. They keep getting aggressive, more aggressive. Now you're in a tough spot. And so I'm proud that we fought back and fought through it. But I definitely didn't love the way we started that game.
That seems to happen a lot against teams missing guys. Are you waiting for these guys to figure out that you just can't lax against teams like that?
Yeah, I mean, there's an inherent letdown that happens, and it's no matter. No, we're trying, but again, that's the youth thing, to me, it always just shows its head some way or another, and we have that letdown, and it hurts us because there's a lot of times that we don't get a chance to come back in a game like this, but that's a hard team to play against, man. I'm looking forward to playing against them again. That was a lot of fun.
Did you think 2 could turn into this level of shooter? Obviously not 5 of 10 every given night, but being an above-average, consistent three-point shooter that you can. It's not a guy you hide in the corner, but a guy that contributes.
I did think that he could. Last year, just watching him, his mechanics were just fine. I didn't think he had the reps. He was never used in this way. So this summer he went to work. And he worked on his shot, worked on his standstill shot. And there was a noticeable difference immediately when I seen him. His confidence, his balance, his base. It was just, I knew it. But obviously he's not a 5 for 10 shooter yet. But, man, I'm telling you, he is climbing that ladder pretty quick. And when the ball lands in his hands and he has time to shoot it, I feel really good about it. Even when he misses it, I'm saying, man, we got a good look there. We'll take that. So, obviously, his shots were huge today.
Who is the MVP tonight for the Trailblazers? It's time for Game Balls on Fifth Quarter.
Don't do that to me, Shacker. Don't do that to me. All of a sudden, music starts fading in. I'm like, oh no, it's happening again. The music's coming. We're going down. But we're not. It's time for a game ball. Who's going to get the game ball tonight? Game ball goes to the guy who ended with the ball in his hand. It's Matisse Thybulle. You come in, you play 6 minutes, get a block shot, get a couple steals, show why you are incredible defensively, why the team has probably been missing you all year, and now you get 11 games left to figure it out. Go down the road here and say, how far can we take it? How far can we take it? I don't know why I said 11. There's a few more, but you know what I'm saying. A dozen or so games. See what you have in Matisse, and I think Matisse, honestly, I think there's more incentive to pick up that player option than not. But it was just good to see him play, Brandon.
It was great to see him play. The energy he brought, when he checked into the game, that's when it felt like that's when the Blazers really started turning this game around. Is almost immediately after him checking into the game, and then to see him again get the game sealing block was just, I think it brought a smile to everybody in this arena's face.
Yes, yes, it did.
It really did. Even everybody on press row was looking around at each other, smiling, just going, "That's the Thibault we have been waiting to see for, like you said, over a year now."
Yeah, without a doubt, man, without a doubt. So, it was good to see him and good to see the Blazers get the win, despite the fact Toronto basically did their best to hand it to him late. That was not good. I don't like that. Again, the whole tanking thing is it's questionable already. We've lived through it here in Portland. All of a sudden, healthy guys are sitting. You've heard of injuries you've never heard before. All of a sudden, here they come. But this one was – I don't think I've seen something this egregious where it was just like, yep, we're going to sit all our starters in the fourth quarter. We're going to milk this clock that when you have possession, do our best to have no time to tie the game. Like, that was bad. That was bad. Now, if you thought this game was interesting, though, it's going to get a lot more interesting tomorrow too. As the Washington Wizards, one of the worst teams,
team tanking.
worst teams in the entire NBA, man, tied with Utah. It's a race. Who will end with the number one spot heading into the lottery, which means they have a very low chance of actually getting it. Because, as you know, we've gone through this number. The number 3 spot is actually the one that has ended with the number 1 overall pick more often than not. Math, baby. Math. But that does mean that we got more content tomorrow. Tip-off at 7, which means I will have Blazers game day for you at 5 o'clock. Fifth quarter after the game, as always. Hopefully we're breaking down another Trailblazers win. Hopefully it just wasn't as fishy as this one. Brandon, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Chris. It was a very fun afternoon.
Yes, and a big shout-out to Michael Shacker. I know he was stressing, but, man – things can get crazy when you're pushing those buttons. At least you got us back on. Again, you worked in radio.
As somebody who was a producer for a couple years, it is stressful when things go haywire.
Yes, and I'm always deathly afraid that I'm going to be the guy who pushes the button that doesn't just corrupt our station. It just takes down all of iHeart as a whole. Like all iHeart around the nation just all of a sudden goes off air because I pushed the wrong button. Paranoids me. Paranoid.
Figuring out you have that kind of power is scary. It is scary.
Absolutely. All right, Rip City, once again, your Portland Trailblazers grab the victory over the Toronto Raptors 105-102. Game day tomorrow, 5 o'clock. We'll talk to you then.